Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series we see opening principles, middle game strategies and middle game planning and the endgame strategy. So if you have noticed, I've started this recognition of common pawn structures here in my Basics in Chess series. Today we are continuing. It's been a while since I've made the last video from this recognition of common pawn structure videos. So we are continuing with the planning ideas, with the planning skills while playing against the so-called Maroczy bind in the middle game. So the Maroczy bind is this setup in the center when white builds this c4 e4 setup in order to get a nice space control. Has also very nice control of the d5 square. The problem from black's perspective is that we have a good center with the pawn on the e file and the d file, but it's really hard to make progress here in the center, because if you try something like e6, then through the d file you would leave sort of a weakness on d6, and these are the main problems while playing as black against the Maroczy bind. For those who are more familiar while playing maybe the Najdorf or the hyper accelerated rank Sicilian defense, or the chevening system of the Najdorf, they are really familiar with this d6 weakness, but sometimes this d6 weakness can be our main advantage. So today I wanted to show you how you should play, what are the plans to play against the Maroczy bind. In my previous video of this Maroczy bind from black's perspective, I've shown you this knight on c5 outpost as an idea to fix the position. So I'll show you this link of that video at the end of this video. So today I wanted to show you some pawn breakthrough possibilities while playing as black against the Maroczy bind. So the first of the pawn breakthroughs is the move f5, and we can also sometimes try e6 and then d5 in order to crack the position that white has built here with the c4 and e4 pawn. So these are the main ideas. If you manage to do that, I think you can really have a really comfortable game. You can really make some progress, because sometimes when you're playing against this Maroczy bind, you get really pushed away by the central control of whites, and it's sometimes really annoying to play against this Maroczy setup. So first of all, I wanted to show you one of my games against the Maroczy bind. See, here we have the c4 e4 setup. I have this d6 e7 central control of the pawns. As I said, I haven't made mistakes so far, but white is of course a little bit on the advantage here. White has the control of the c and d file, and white has also now played this common idea of this knight on d5. This knight on d5 is a common outpost of the knight, and here I immediately kick the knight away with the move e6. Okay, I'm leaving a little bit this d6 weak, but now after knight on f4, queen on e7, and now with the preparation to play rook on d8, and here I can really cement the position on the d file, can really fix my d6 pawn, and really fix my main weakness. But what I wanted to do here is to try sort of a battery on the d file and try a d5 pawn breakthrough. So the d5 pawn breakthrough against the Maroczy bind is really, well, a good idea. I think it's hard to accomplish it because you have to move many moves. But if you manage to push the pawn on d5, if you manage to push to create a d5 pawn breakthrough, I guarantee you a very comfortable game. So here, knight on d3 was played. I played simple bishop on g7, rook on c2, now rook on d8. We have b3. Now, of course, b6, fixing more the position on dark squares. Here, bishop on bishop on g5 was played. Bishop takes on bishop on f6. I don't mind the potential trade of the bishops, because in the next moves I can play maybe something like e5, then knight on e6, and then cement my knight on the very good d4 square. So that's why here my opponent didn't take the bishop. He played bishop on f4. Now comes this idea, rook on d7, knight on f2, and now rook on d8. Okay, you see my opponent has really built a very strong attack on on the d file, but now I have prepared really this d5 pawn breakthrough. So here knight on g4 was played, again bishop on g7, knight on h6. Here I played simple king on f8. Okay, the knight has made some progress, but I don't feel so much endangered here. Bishop on g5 was played, and again I played bishop on f6. I don't mind this potential trade of the bishops because again I have fixed my position around this d6 pawn. So here bishop on f4 was played, and now comes this d5. So when you have the possibility to make this pawn breakthrough on d5, do that. I really guarantee you a good game. Here after the d5 we have c takes d5, e takes d5. Here my opponent played e takes d5, and now rook on d5, and it's basically game over because here my opponent played queen on c1, and here I have rook takes on d1. You cannot take the queen. Bishop takes on d1, and then queen on e1. So you see how good this d5 move is. As I said, you have to be patient. Sometimes it's not possible to create this d5 pawn breakthrough, but as a main strategical idea, you should be really familiar with this potential moves, because sometimes really you can really play a comfortable game with this d5 pawn breakthrough. So another possibility to play against the Maroczy bind is crack the position with the move f5, because as I said, white has built his attack with this simple central control of the pawns. We are a little bit kicked away, and we want of course to undermine this huge space control that white has. And here I wanted to show instructive game played by Andrew Tang with the white pieces against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces. He played immediately here this pawn breakthrough, this challenging of the center with the move f5. So you see, we're not allowing white to build such a good central control. With the f5 move, we are basically challenging white immediately in the center. E takes f5, bishop takes on f5 was played, knight on e3. We have castling by Carlsen, knight takes on f5, knight takes on f5, castling by Andrew Tang. Knight on d4, you see we have a very nice central control now, and you see that it's basically a new game, because white has simply played on the central control. White relied on this very nice central control. Now white has lost a little bit the central control, and now the position is an equal one. You can continue to play freely. Okay, still you have to find your own tactical ideas, but as I said, as one of the main strategical ideas to play against the Maroczy bind, I think you should be really familiar with this f5 pawn breakthrough also. So bishop on d3, here c6. Of course, again you see we're searching now even for this d5 pawn breakthrough. We have knight on e4, and then now d5. Again, you see we have to battle against this pawn. So this pawns white is using simply to restrict our own pieces. So here d5 after c takes d5, queen takes on d5, knight on c3, and you see now queen on f7. We have now built a very nice battery on the f file. We have rook on e1, rook on d8. We have queen on a4. Now b5. Magnus uses this moment in order to kick away the queen. And queen on a3. Queen on a3. Now comes very powerful move. Knight on h4 with this preparation of the fork here on f3. Here knight on e4 was played. Now knight on f3. G takes f3, and now of course queen takes on f3. We have now even checkmate threats, so that's why here king on f1 was played. But now very powerful move, rook on d3. We have queen on b4. Now comes another great move by Magnus Carlsen, bishop on d4. Here bishop on h6, but it's a little bit too late because we have now queen on g2. The king has to move here. Then again queen on e4, and in this position Andrew Tang resigned. So you see, Magnus Carlsen built really his game around with this move f5, and then after that with the move d5. So that's how you should play against the Maroczy bind. If you have the possibility to push these pawns, push the f5 pawn, push the d5 pawn, try to get the pawn breakthrough, undermine your opponent's central control with these pawns. Don't allow your opponent to push you away, and play simply aggressively against this Maroczy bind. So let's see now another game. I wanted to show you also one of my games. Again, we have the Maroczy bind, and here I tried immediately this f5 pawn breakthrough. Here e takes f5 was played, rook takes on f5, and you see now, although my pieces are a little bit loose on the board, but still they have very nice activity. The knight is on an active square, the bishop is on an active square, the rook comes into the game. So very many tactical possibilities here. And here b4 was played by my opponent. I tried a takes b4, a takes b4, and now queen on f6. You see, with a counter attack on this knight, so that's why rook on c3 was played. And now I use this moment immediately and played rook on f3. So you see, if my opponent takes, then I'll have a very nice battery. Here with the bishop and the queen, also some checkmate threats. That's why here b takes c5 was played. But now rook takes on e3. If the queen takes on e3, then I have bishop on d4, and my opponent will lose the queen. Knight on b5 was played. Now comes queen on g5 with the preparation to make some more sacrifices here around g3, because I have now attacked it 3 times, this pawn on g3. My opponent tried queen on e1, bishop takes on g3, h takes g3, and now rook takes on g3. Now the king comes here on f2, rook on g2, king on f1 was played, queen on f4, bishop on f3, queen takes on f3, queen on f2, and checkmate here with the queen on f2. So you see, let's go back. As I said, the main ideas while playing against the Maroczy bind is this potential e6 and d5 pawn breakthrough, and also here this potential f5 pawn breakthrough, in order to undermine your opponent's space control, because white is simply relying on this c4 e4 pawn structure. He wants to kick you away. In this Maroczy bind, he'll try to play slowly, to really play sort of a boa constrictor chess game. Don't allow him to do that. Try a potential pawn breakthrough and play actively against this annoying setup. Okay, I hope you realize these ideas, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my other basics in chess videos with some opening principles, middle game strategies, and the endgame strategies, with some other recognition of common pawn structure videos. And you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles videos, in which I show you all of the possible tactical motifs that can happen in the chess game. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.